Hey everybody, it's Erin Reed, and today I'm going to show you how to make this cute and easy little flip-flap book using 4 sheets of cardstock, of which not even going to be using all the sheets of cardstock. There's going to be a ton left over, and look how cute this little book is. This is a raw book, and tomorrow's video is going to be how we're going to be filling our book with some amazing papers. And I've already picked out the color scheme that's going to work really well for this particular project, but for now, I'm going to show you how to make one of these. So easy. 4 sheets of cardstock, tape runner, something to cut your paper, something to score your paper. You could score it just by using a ruler and measuring it out, but having some sort of scoring tool is ideal. And all the supply links will be down below, along with all the measurements of what you're scoring and what measurements you need to cut the papers and so forth. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to cut our front and our back covers. I like using regular old cardstock, and I like the cardstock to be the same on both sides. You do not have to do that. It could be a double-sided paper that you're using for your front and back cover. The first section you're going to do is you are going to cut one sheet of your 12 by 12 paper to be 12 inches. That's the easy part. And then it's 6 1/4. And then cut it. So here's our 6 1/4. Boom, done. This is our back cover. Unfortunately, because we've cut a little bit more, even with this extra trim, if this part does not bother you, you could totally use this section, but it's not big enough for our front cover. Our front cover is also going to be 6 1/4, which is why we couldn't use that sheet. Again, unless that little trim does not bother you, totally go for it. So 6 1/4 by 6 inches. And there is our front cover. These pieces are now extra that you can use inside your book as extra papers if you want to cut mats and so forth, or layer with other sheets of paper. So they are the perfect color because it came from that, or you could make another book with it that maybe is a smaller dimension. You just need to go down concentrically if you are going to make a smaller size book. Works. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to make the inside sheets. You need 2 sheets of cardstock for this, but you only need to have 3 pages for this particular book. And these pages are 6 inches, a little bit less than the actual size of the book. Because if you look at the book, when it's opened up, you can see that there's a little bit of a cover. My pink is my cover. The white are the pages. Totally can use whatever colors you want for that. But here are the pages, and there's just a little bit of an extra on either top and bottom for my book. So that's why these are 6 inches and this was 6 1/4. So you need to cut 3 of these. Super simple. Guess what? Front cover is done. No scoring needed. Woohoo! Next is your back cover. There is a little bit more scoring that you need to do with this. So pop up my little tool. I like this one because I can have the tool and I'm not hunting around for it. You are going to score at 9 inches. 9 inches, and also at 3 inches. 3 inches. And then I like to go ahead and fold this. Fold's better going this way. And I will fold it going the other way. Take my tool, run along that seam, fold back on itself, fold front on itself, take my tool, make sure it gets a nice good flaps. Make sure the flaps are going good both directions, because I don't know if I want to have this be on the inside or outside, or if that is. So just make sure it's scored nice and clean. So in the book, you notice there's a little bit of a spine on both sides. That is 1/4 inch. So we need to give another score on our book. I'm just going to place this off to the side right here. It needs to be 1/4 inch. Unfortunately, on either my 3 or my 9 do I have a 1/4 inch score mark. So I need to shift this over, and I have one perfectly here at my 4 inch. I'm going to make sure this is nestled right in there. It was scored originally with this sheet up, so the scoring mark kind of goes down into the groove, and therefore it's lined up perfectly. And I'm going to score at that 1/4 inch mark right here, right along there. And now I've got a 1/4 inch, and I went up, so it's 9 and 9 1/4. You got to be careful with some of the scores, because here between 7, this was like a 1/3, here's an 1/8. So you just need to know your scoring mat so that to know what the differences in the measurements are. I need to do the same thing on the other side, but I'm going to go down. So I'm going to go 2 3/4. So I'm going to line up my scoring right here on the inside. So I'm actually going to score on the 4 right here. There it is. And so therefore there's 1/4 inch. This section right here is still 6 inches, and then the flaps are going to be a little bit less. So again, the measurements are all down below so you guys can see. And I, again, will fold all these little flappies and give them a nice score. Fold them well. Now, could you do this without a scoring tool? Totally. Would it be as perfect? Probably not. Your best bet for using that would be a ruler, but it probably will not be as perfect. So now when my book is closed, take a look at that. See how it lines up just perfectly? With the spine, it's going to be a teeny bit off, which is why you have the front cover. But our back cover is now done. Time to do the pages. So you're going to do the exact same thing to all 3 pages, identical. You're going to take your scoring tool. You're going to score at 9 inches. Boom. And you're going to score at 3 inches. Noticing a pattern already, 3, 9, everything's in 6s and 3s and 9s. So it makes this book easy because you can use basically your pages are already coming out. If you got a 12 by 12 sheet of paper, it works out perfectly. And look, the pages fold in just where you want them to. Score it up, make sure they're nice and even. Look at that. And for these, I like to fold it this way. And then I will make sure it is nicely folded the other way because I don't know which way I want my little flippy flaps to go once it goes in the book. So I want it to go both ways. So make sure it is good going both directions, just like that. So now, it doesn't matter which way my little book goes, they're good to go. And they're going to stay and they fold wonderfully all directions. Do the other 2 inserts just like this. And now it's time to glue it all together. All right, so here are your 3 pages that are the inserts to your book. What we're going to do is we're going to line them up just like this. So end to end, here's my little flap, and then end to end. Look how easy that is. All right, so what you're going to do is I take one of these flaps. I make sure I kind of know, so I'm opening it up and going, okay, this one right here, and I come in, look at flying adhesive. Awesome. Apply my adhesive. I like the tape runner. This is a Xyron tape runner. It makes life super simple. My trick is, I know these are going to be flapped together, so I flip it over, fold them backwards, and I line up on the spines. So I come in on my spine right here. I line up right along those spines, make sure they're fully intact, just like that, and then squish them together. Come back in and take a look. See, the little flippy flap is right here in the middle. So now I need to connect these 2. So I can come in, apply my adhesive. There we go. Now, you could totally do this, but I just find it doesn't line up as perfectly. So that's why I always flip it over and I line up spine to spine. This is just how I personally do it. If you're comfortable going the other way, I always seem to kind of mess it up and they don't quite work the other way. So it's the way I did it. All right, so here's your book. You know you have the book pages upright when the little flaps are facing upwards. If you have it upside down, you're like, where are my flaps? It's upside down. Don't do that. So little flappies are upward. The flaps come down. Then you have a page. You can fold this flap in inwards, or you can fold the flap, or you can fold the page and then put the flap down. That is a personal choice and depends on, you may not know that answer until you start assembling your book about which way you want to go. So that is totally up to you how you want to do it. For now, I'm going to put my little flaps all on the inside and fold the pages in. And then I just kind of hold my book down. So that's it. This is the inside of your book. Open up, little flap, open up, little flap, 2 little inside flaps to play with. Look at that. Super simple. Take this entire book, and this is the back. Don't forget that. Now we move into our cover. Decide what you want to have be the inside of the book and what you want to have be the outside. This has got more of a linen feel to it on the outside. The inside's a little bit more plain. So I'm going to leave the plain for the inside of the book, and I'm probably going to end up covering it up. Apply my adhesive. And I'm actually going to go right all the way up to the edge here. Okay. And then you're going to take your book. Now remember, if the flap's open, there it is, my inside or my back of my book is right here. If you want to put a little X on the back of that so you don't forget, go for it. I turn everything sideways to line this up because it's going to be evenly all the way up against this spine. It's going to go right up against this little edge right here. So this is the first of the score marks. The pages go right up against that, but it's not going to go fully flush to either of the sides. So you're going to go right up against this and evenly space it top to bottom. So I can see the same amount of spacing going both ways. Place it down. I've already put all my adhesive, so it's done. There's no drying time needed on this. I love that. And then that's it. Little flap comes over, little flap comes over, and look at that. Now, you could totally leave your book just like this. You could add like a big circle. You could have like a little hidden peekaboo piece. But if this bothers you and having this little open space bugs you, that's why we have the front cover. So you want to make sure you line up your front cover so it makes sense. So if you take a look, my front cover does not make sense. I've got gaps, I can see stuff, it's too long. It's because one side's 6 inches and the other side is 6 1/4. So you have to make sure that you line it up going the right way. And this is my right way. That's the right way for it to go on. I also want to make sure that because this paper's got a little bit of a different texture from one side to the other, I follow the same texture. That's just me. You could totally change that up. You could have your front cover be a whole different color if you want it to be. Have fun with that. Apply my adhesive to, well, most books. This will have to say most books open this way. But if you want your book to open that way, you can too. And if you mess up for whatever reason, guess what? You can always turn the book around. Ta-da! So I'm going to keep my book opening traditionally for how I read a book. But again, any way that you would like to have your book open, you could even have it open so that it opens this way. So just apply it to one side and then you can decide, because I don't have a pattern on any of this. My book can open in any way I want it to. Align, make sure I have this correct so I'm not, oh, see, look, I already had it sideways. There we go. So align this so that it makes the perfect sense. And then place that right on the edge, just so you can see. So there's that spine. I am placing, make sure I don't screw this up and I have it facing the right way. Oh, see, I did it again. Good thing I checked before I stuck it down. Take this edge and place it right up against that spine. I have to do it flat on the table or I'm going to mess it up, but I'm going right up against that edge there. Right there. And then stick it down. And it should line up perfectly. There we go. Look at that. Now, this is where you can have another choice. I either can choose to have my full page, look at that, nice full page, and my little flap on the inside, so it creates another fun little flap, or I can have a little baby flap on the outside and create some sort of like binding to hold the whole thing together, like a little strip. I could put a button with it like a twine. That's where you can start playing with it. But the basic construction of the book, oop, I got a little adhesive that stuck there. That's easy, but look, it's clean, it's not sticky anywhere, it's good to go. Page 1, open. Page 2, open. But guess what? If you don't like that and you want this page to open first, you could totally have this page open first. You could also totally have the flap fold backwards. So you could do this if you want to. You can even have a little fold here. You could add a little, I mean, so many fun things. You can add, I mean, what you do inside this book now is totally up to you. So you can open, 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 and then you got little flaps in here. So many fun options inside this. Very basic, very straightforward, very linear book. And look at that, done. So thanks so much for stopping by and learning how to make these cute little flippy flat books just from regular old cardstock and adhesive with a little bit of help from a scoring tool. And then you could make your own little mini books. Tomorrow I am filling both of these books. They're going to go to both sets of grandparents as a fun little end of year gift that I like to give, but I'm not sticking with any kind of theme. I just picked a paper pack and the solid color sheets are going with that. So make sure you come back tomorrow. That way you can take a look about what we're putting in and how I embellish these books, which are going to be identical on the inside for the most part, how I design them. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Supply links are all down below, and please hit that bell button so that way you get notifications of new videos from me, and I will see you guys again soon. Bye-bye.